Welcome back, everybody, to Dynasty Racing League TV, coming to you live from Fort Worth, Texas, at Texas Motor Speedway. This is the Dynasty Racing League Winter Series. It's going to be 84 laps. This is the A split. There's two different splits in this series. Trucks run around in two different races, an A split and a B split, and the top 20 drivers from each split combine into a final main race, coming to you live again at 9:55 p.m. Eastern. Right here from DRL TV. My name is Ryan. Joining me in a few minutes in the booth will be Martin Wenzel. Had a few interesting things happen over the week. Our top driver in both this split race and the main series race, Brady Briggs, actually injured himself. He dislocated his knee and he will be out for the rest of the season. This is race number 8 of 10. Should be some awesome racing for you guys coming up over the next couple hours. Starting in first place on the inside is Clay Phillips in the number 6. On the outside we have James Lorello. Eric Johnson in the 33 in third place. Blake Griffith in fourth place in the number 7 car. Ryan Hesgard in the number 2 in fifth position. Chris James starting in 6th, DRL rookie. Robert Tyus starting in 7th, Daniel Hallis in 8th, James Pandoff starting in 9th, Spencer Tart starting in 10th, and we take the green flag. Cars come across the line. Clay Phillips gets out to an early lead. '33 car close behind him as Blake Griffiths takes the inside, going inside the number 13. Of James Lorello. Again, Blake is sticking down on the inside line. James Lorello takes the high side, rubs the wall. Hopefully the 2 of Ryan Hesgard can avoid him just behind. Gets around on the inside. And another car moves down on the inside of him, the 15 of Chris James for the easy pass. One, 2, and 3 seem to be out to a pretty early starting position as we thin out here and get ready to go single file. Move a little bit further back in the pack, almost going 3 wide here. The 13 goes inside, the 8's on the outside. 8 car is Daniel Hallis. He actually runs the 2 in the main race. Got a lot of these top front runners up here. All of these guys seem to be very, very consistent. Every week they are running towards the front of this pack in both this split and in the main race. A lot of them are sitting high up in the point standing. Sitting just behind Brady Briggs in the split races right now is Blake Griffith in the number 7 car. You see him right there. He is currently sitting only 5 points back of Brady Briggs right now in second position. Jordan Gonzalez just behind him. In third position, Daniel Hallis is in 4th, James Pandoff in 5th in the top 10 standings here in these A-split races. Everything seems to be thinning out here, going pretty single file. We kind of have Clay Phillips running off with the lead here. He seems to be very good at Texas. This track, it races a lot like a Charlotte, a lot like in Atlanta. Actually, the owners of these tracks are the same owners for all 3 of them. The same people who own Bristol Motor Speedway. They love these 1.5-mile quad ovals. They have 4 separate corners that kind of drive like 4 separate corners. Speed entry and speed exit are very, very different. And the Apex is not just some easily done thing every single lap. As this track wears on over time, different grooves are going to work themselves in, And we're going to see as these tires start to wear 20, 30 laps into this race, if these drivers can hang on and keep posting good times and hold their position. We're back in the pack. James Pandolf's moving outside of Mike Lemon in the 9 car. Mike Lemon seems to get the easy pass there on the inside of James. James has that run coming out of the corner. Oh, and he rubs the wall. Not good for James Pandolf. He is still rubbing the wall, trying to avoid the other cars that are down there as he loses significant positions. James has moved all the way back into 14th position there after rubbing the wall. Let's go back and see if we can see what happened there with James. Oh, and he just gets stuck on that outside wall. He rubs it the entire way down this backstretch, trying to stay off of the other drivers that are on the track. Very good by him not to cause a bigger incident, but that's going to hurt him in the long run. Lots of green flag action here in Texas as these guys thin out. There is not going to be a whole lot of cautions here tonight. We have a pretty thin field, only 15 drivers currently in this split race. Currently looking at Chris James. He started in 6th position, currently sitting 5th. Seems to be just a few seconds off the leaders here. 3 to be exact. Let's move up and look at the leaders. Clay Phillips is sitting first. He got the pole position. It looks like he's slowly being caught by the 33 of Eric Johnson and the 7 of Blake Griffith, as Blake is right on Eric Johnson's tail. Last week we saw Eric Johnson, I think one of his very first races with Dynasty Racing League. He showed a very good showing last week. He was sticking up there with Eric Wolf, who is currently not attending this race, but he stuck around. He was in first position or second position for most of the race, and then after a pit mishap by Eric Wolf, Johnson actually ended up taking over and winning that split race last week. Blake Griffith started in 4th position, maybe didn't get as good of a qualifying time as he had hoped for, but after Brady Briggs' dropout last week, he is now the Cup favorite to go ahead and take this Winter Series in the coming weeks. He's done very well in these split races. He's done very well in the main races. The driver sitting in 4th position right now, Ryan Hesgard. I actually had a conversation with him earlier today. He's not had much practice here this week at Texas, so he turned about 45 minutes worth of laps before this race got underway, and I think he's going to use this split race kind of as his practice to get into the main race later this evening. He's also another driver. He came into this series a little bit late. I think he missed the first 2 races of the season. But he has done very well since he started here in the Winter Cup Series, and he is moving up in the standings, currently sitting in 9th position. He has 206 points behind Blake Griffith's 276. So he's still 70 points back of Blake Griffith in 2nd position, but he has moved up these standings in the few short races. He's only made 4 starts to Blake's 6, and hopefully he'll be able to close that gap as time goes on. Blake keeps racing the way he is, though. There's not going to be much gap to close because Blake is going to keep it very, very big. Go back and look at the battle for 7th or 6th position here. As Daniel Hallis is sitting in 6th right now. Who's just inside of the 57 of Robert Tyus. Looks like he makes the clean pass if he can get to that high line, and he does. Get the 9 car of Mike Lemon. Trying to tag along there right behind Daniel Hallis and make that pass on Robert Tyus, but can't quite make it happen as he moves to the inside and tries to take it yet again. Back up to the leaders here and check them out for a second. The top 3 seem to be running away with this track quite handily. Ryan Hesgard is a good 3 seconds back of the leader, with the top 3 all within about a second and a half of Clay Phillips. Blake looks to be slowly beginning. He's one of these types of drivers that he likes to save tires. He works with a racing team every week. He practices very hard. He puts in a lot of time at these tracks and tries to make himself better every week. He's all about saving tires. He's all about these long runs. He's hoping for a long green flag run here at Texas Motor Speedway, see if he can move up a couple of positions as these guys use their tires up a little more than him. The 9 car of Mike Lemon still battling down there in the 7th position. Daniel Howlis got that early run, took off quite handily, but these guys are still fighting for position back here. Mike Lemon and now Mark Vega all get around Robert Tyus. He has slowly moved back. He was sitting in 6th a couple minutes ago, and now he has moved back to the 9th position. As Mark Vega still looks to overtake him. He hasn't quite made this pass as he moves down to the inside. The 57 of Robert Tyus goes through the middle of the corner here. Mark Vega really wants to get in front of him as he completes the pass. You have to move to the outside. You have to let your truck coast out of these corners. If you do not, you will wear your tires down very quickly trying to hold that bottom line as you exit most of these corners. Moving back through the pack here. Currently looking at Spencer Tarts, also another DRL rookie. One of his very first starts here. He has a 2071 I rating, holds the A license, currently obviously racing the trucks. He started in 10th position. He's currently moved to 12th position. Looks like he's lost a little bit of time. I don't see much damage on his truck. I don't know if he's just running a very clean line, saving his tires. He seems to be up the track a little bit compared to the truck right behind him. As we have some blinking issues here with the 13 truck, kind of moving all over the place. That's James Lorello. And James Pandoff, after that early scrubbing of the wall, seems to have dropped back significantly. He is currently 18 seconds off the pace of the leader. He seems to have damaged his truck quite a bit. These guys do get 2 fast, in this series, they get 2 fast repairs. In the main race, you'll see later, they only get 1 fast repair. So James Pandoff at this point is hoping and praying for one of these cautions to come out, so he has the opportunity to pit, and get that damage fixed, and get himself back into a position to make some moves. Looks like Chris James has snuck himself past Ryan Hesgard. I don't know if the tires are getting to Ryan, if Chris James is just the better driver here, if he saved early, but we do now have 21 laps on the tires of these trucks. Things are going to start to get hairy. Their time is going to slow down. They're currently about 2 seconds off of the pace from where they started, so best laps are sitting around a 30.6. The most recent lap was almost a 32.4, so all of these guys, the tires are hurting them. Slowly wearing on these trucks and making it so they cannot get around this track quite as easily.
On the 82 of Mark Vega is pulling into the pits.
Martin Wenzel, we welcome Martin Wenzel to the booth. How you doing tonight, Martin?
I'm just trying to get everything set up.
We have some growing pains here in Dynasty Racing. We had awesome work this week by Jordan Gonzalez. He completely revamped all of our graphics and everything here.
For DRL still trying TV. To get everything in there, right?
Yeah, I was set to replay before. The only reason I was set to replay, I don't know what happened. When I went back to that replay, I never went back live after that. That was my mistake when I was looking at James handoff hitting the outside wall early in this race. I never actually got back to live coverage, so we were watching everything just a little bit behind.
Oh, so
About
that
20
replay
seconds to be
graphic's
behind,
actually
to be
true.
exact. Yes, actually, it was a replay, believe it or not. The live settings, everything is automated here. So again, Jordan has put in a ton of work. Everything is automated. When I go back in time, his theme that he set up for me here automatically detects that I've gone back in time, and it'll post a replay graphic rather than a live graphic. And then when I move
Oh,
back to live
that's
coverage, it'll pop back up the live graphic, which is just awesome.
yeah, that's really good. I was wondering about that. Cool.
So these, give me a little insight here, Martin. These DRL rookies, you see these plaques on some of these guys. A lot of help to you again and Jordan for setting that up. Do these guys, is this their very first race? Is this their first series? What does a DRL rookie plaque really mean?
Well, last season, like in my recaps, we did rookies. It was just their first race. But for this upcoming season, we're going to keep it the whole season. And so I'm still debating. I think we'll take the rookie plaque off of guys who did the winter series. But it'll be rookies, anyone who's joining the new 2018 series, Fastlane Cup Series, Northeast Ohio Grand National Series, and the Winona Road Truck Series.
Awesome. So if anybody competed in any of these winter truck series, they will lose the rookie tag for the 2018 season?
Yeah, I think we'll do that. Or maybe it'll be a 5 race. We'll put something.
Right.
We'll
So
see how many
the
races they
guys who
did in the
did,
winter series.
yeah, I gotcha. So the guys who weren't here for the entire winter series, if they only competed in a couple of races, they'll keep that rookie tag for 2018 and then receive the removal of that rookie tag at the beginning of the 2019 series. Or if everybody's patient and we actually have the member base coming into next winter, we might actually throw up a different winter series next season, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of exciting things coming out of Dynasty Racing League this year, guys, with the introduction here of Dynasty Racing League TV. Obviously, this is one of our very first broadcasts. This is the second one coming to you. We came to you live last week from Kentucky, trying to get everything ironed out before the 2018 season starts here. We have tons of exciting action. A lot of work is going into this. All the graphics, the replays, the broadcasts, all of the guys who show up every week. Huge shout out to everyone that contributes and participates in Dynasty Racing League. Next winter series, who knows what's to come. We could have a dirt series coming up. We could have anything coming up for Dynasty Racing League. The possibilities are endless so long as we continue to get support for all the guys that come here and race every week.
Well, we'll be driving Eldora during the truck season at some point, right? So we'll get some dirt racing there.
Oh, I can't wait. So for those of you guys who don't know, in 2018, we are following the exact series schedules. There will be a couple of added races in the truck series, and that's simply because it's a very short series. There are large gaps. April in the live truck series for NASCAR does not actually have any races in April. So we're adding a couple races in April. I think we're throwing in an extra Charlotte race in October towards the end of next season.
Yeah, Milwaukee earlier in the season.
Oh, that's right. The
Give me a home
Milwaukee
track
Mile
there.
is going to be exciting. I can't wait for that. And then I think the Xfinity cars and the Cup cars, both of those are going to follow right along with the NASCAR schedule. So obviously our races will occur the week after. So when they come to you live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights, the races will have actually happened already live in NASCAR over the weekend. And that's just because iRacing follows the schedule of NASCAR as well, and that gives these guys a whole week to prepare on these tracks in the actual season every single week as time goes on. So everybody will come in here well versed and will be able to make their best runs around these tracks.
Ooh, Mark Vega making some passes past James Lorello, Spencer Tarts. He must have a little bit fresher tires. I'm not sure those guys gone into the pits yet.
They probably have not. I think Mark Vega definitely made a pit back there.
Yeah, he was the first one to go in. Just as I jumped on, that was the first thing I said. It was Mark Vega going in the pits, and he is easily passing the field now.
Yeah, these guys, again, I was telling everyone just a little while ago, their most recent lap compared to their best lap, we're over 2.5 seconds, getting close to 3 seconds on some of these guys. So there's been huge tire fall off. As you can see, Mark Vega just moving through the field here. He now actually has position over James Pandoff. And James has not pit yet, so James is in a world of trouble right now if he does not get a very quick caution flag out, because not only are his tires old, but he took that damage early by rubbing that wall. And a guy who took a pit stop, and is now back in front of him position-wise does not bode well for James Pandoff moving forward. So go back up here. Chris James passes Blake Griffith on the inside. Looks like Blake is having some trouble. I was just touting Blake Griffith and his racing team and how they promote healthy driving and making sure that their tires are, being worn down correctly, and that they're going for the long green flag runs and not burning their tires up early. Did you see him touch a wall or anything, Martin?
I didn't see anything there.
Seems like he lost position there quite handily to Chris James. Maybe he's getting it back now. He might have touched the wall, or he just had a very bad exit. Once these tires start to wear here, especially tracks just like this, these quad 1.5 mile ovals, very tough. When you come out of that corner and you're not back in the gas, if you have to let off the gas as you're exiting the corner, it hurts you severely down the front and back stretch.
That's true. I remember we had a lot of trouble here in the Cup cars during the playoffs. Trucks are a little bit different.
Trucks are definitely different. Those Cup cars can get a huge run coming out of the corner, and they'll catch up quite handily on that front straight. The effects are a little less severe in the trucks. That's why, in live NASCAR racing, you see the beginner drivers tend to start in the trucks, and then they move their way up through the Xfinity cars into the Cup cars. And that's just another one of the reasons they do so, is because the skill gap and making sure you're hitting your marks exactly and getting back onto the gas at the perfect time as you hit the apex of these corners is so important. And a lot of it just comes with practice. That's another reason it's so impressive to see some of these younger drivers. Not that they're all in here this evening, but Anthony Burrows, who is good week in and week out anytime he competes. Eric Wolf, he's not quite as young as Anthony Burrows, who sits at an astounding 15 years old. But Eric Wolf, I think, is 19 or 20, and he has not been racing iRacing for that long. Recently bought himself an Oculus Rift, and I know he has a pretty decent setup. And the guy, he takes this thing, he's meticulous. Every single week he comes in, he practices, he makes sure he hits his marks in every corner, out of every corner. And it's all about consistency when it comes down to racing at these 1.5 mile ovals here.
Yeah, I see him talking in the Discord about all the laps he's running at the various tracks, and he'll do practices at 5-6 different tracks just to figure out the tires, the new tire sets, all that. And he really puts a lot of time in, and it shows on the track. And he was the champion of the 2017 DRL Navy Chiefs Cup Series, now the Fastlane Cup Series.
Very true. The last race of that series was super intense. We had a chase there in the last few races. Anthony Burrows and Eric Wolf, it was just an amazing. Came down to the final race. If Anthony had a weird pit strategy in that race, if he had made stuck out for one pit stop, led one single lap, even if Eric Wolf took first and Anthony took second, Anthony still would have brought home the trophy. But a little bit of a lapse in judgment. The pressure will get to you, especially when you're driving around some of these faster guys like Eric Johnson up here in first. You start driving out of your rear view, you start not thinking clearly. It becomes tough, man. These races are not easy. Eric Johnson makes it look easy out here, sitting comfortably in first position, but that pressure can definitely get to you.
Yeah, we have a thin field. No Eric Wolf, no Anthony Burrows, no Brady Briggs. Those are three of the top drivers, especially in this A split and then the main split, definitely.
We do have some other quick drivers. Clay Phillips has put on a great showing the last few weeks. He's led the first few laps of this race, recently overtaken by Eric Johnson, but he got the pole position. He's currently sitting second. He was running great out there in first. He's shown up awesome over the last few weeks. He's currently sitting 7th in the point standings for these A-split races after only making 5 starts compared to the top 6 starts. And Chris James sitting in 3rd position right now. He is a DRL rookie. He's not been here very long. He has only made 5 starts as well, currently sitting in 10th in the point standings. He's doing an awesome job. Some of these guys just, Eric Johnson seems to be taking off, but if you look at his I rating, this is a Cup Series driver next year. So there's a bit of a gap there. You move on back to 2nd, 3rd, 4th position. all of these guys are at least 2,000 I rating behind Eric Johnson, so they can't 100% be expected to keep up with this guy. He's obviously very good. He runs in these official races. He stays clean. He finishes in the top 5 very, very consistently in his official races, and that's why he has the I rating he has. So,
Well, and Eric Johnson surprises me because from what I've seen so far in the Winter Series, he's just had a tough luck, really, in the earlier races. And today he's out front, and it's all up to him.
yeah, he seems to be running away with it a little bit here as we see Chris James catching Clay Phillips as well. Makes a move onto the inside. Clay Phillips is on the outside. This is where things can get hairy, guys. These guys are on old tires. It is not easy to control these trucks. They're getting very loose on corner exit, and it's very hard to stick them to that bottom line and maintain a run good enough to get around the guy on the outside.
And Chris James will take second place.
He does make the pass. That's impressive to me, man. He did not wiggle. Nothing happened, and he got the run coming out of that corner over Clay Phillips. Normally, the high guy has advantage there. It makes me wonder if Clay Phillips' tires are eating up a little more.
Well, Griffith is making up some time on him, so yeah, I'm sure his tires he's getting a little shaky there.
Just like I was talking about earlier, being out in that first position and trying to maintain that first position, you are looking in your rear view a little bit. So these guys have standings windows that they can pull up during iRacing. It's going to show them, you know, how far away the guy is behind them, and then every time they cross the start-finish line, they can actually see exactly down to 1,000th of a second how far behind them the guy is that's directly behind them. So he starts driving out of his rear view, and he starts pushing his truck a little bit too hard and missing his marks a little bit, and that's what happens, man. Those tires fall off real quick.
Well, it's tricky running in first, too, because you're looking back and you're trying to maintain your tires, but you also want to kind of create a gap and give yourself a cushion. And it depends on what the guy behind you is doing. And, you know, as I said, Blake Griffith is making up time, and he's looking down and looking for a pass, and he's going to take third quite easily. Phillips just gave that to him.
Yeah, that looked very handy there. Clay Phillips.
Ooh, and now Hesgaard's right up in his rear. It's going to be tight. Yeah, he's losing a lot of time. There goes Hesgaard. The 8 car passed, or the 8 truck, and the 8 truck is going past Griffith now.
Yeah, that's the number 8 of Daniel Hallis. He's currently sitting in 9th position. He's in
third now.
Position. I think he's moving around. He's not in 3rd position. He already has fresh tires. That's why he's moved.
Yeah, he pit. Yeah, you're right.
As he did. So he's sitting in the 8th position. He just got around Eric Johnson, who I think Eric, I don't know if he's still coasting around or if he just came out of the pits. So Eric Johnson finally took his pits. We have all these green flag pit stops coming in. Things are going to shake up a little bit here. Blake Griffith is stuck out on the track, currently on lap 48 out of 84. You got to wonder when this guy's going to take his pit stop, because he cannot continue to run on these old tires and give Eric Johnson the ability to get back on fresher tires and make up time on him. We're much over halfway, and these guys got to be thinking about a pit at some point here soon.
He just came over the radio, and he is pitting now. I wonder if Hesgaard will follow him.
It makes you wonder if Hesgaard's going to follow. I'm pretty sure these guys get a bonus point for leading the lap here, so you imagine Hesgaard's going to go around one more, and he does. He makes the pass right there on Blake Griffith to take the race lead.
And Clay Phillips will also stay out. Maybe I don't know what he's waiting for.
Clay Phillips seems like he might be waiting a little too long. He was losing positions there at the end of that green flag run, and he started in 1st position and led quite a few laps.
He already has that bonus. Yeah, he already has that bonus point, so I don't know why he's staying out right now.
Makes you wonder, maybe there's some kind of strategy there. He's hoping for a caution during these green flag pit stops. Somebody merges onto the track where they shouldn't. Something happens.
So he'll come back into 1st. Yeah, Hesgaard going in.
Yeah, he pulls down pit road. And Robert Tyus in the 57 now takes 2nd position. It's like just a couple of these guys waited maybe a little bit too long to pit. Clay Phillips and Robert Tyus are now the only drivers on the track who have not pit. And as you see Tyus coming back around, Blake Griffith comes off pit road just behind him. So Blake sitting in a very good position after that pit stop. We're going to go back up and watch Eric Johnson as he makes his way around the track and tries to get his positions back. little bit of a shakeup here with all these green flag pit stops. I'm wondering if Clay Phillips makes the pit on this time by.
Well, he's getting passed on the inside. He's going to have a little trouble doing that. Nope, staying out again. He's really hoping for a yellow flag at this point.
He has to be. That's the only thing I would do now if I was Clay Phillips. I would stay right out there on that track and run those tires until the last little bead is left on their traction and hope that somebody gets in an accident, because otherwise I think he's given up a little too much time to put himself in a good spot now. So, Martin, I know you've ran at Texas quite a few times. What's it like once you get 30, 40 laps on these trucks? Is it easier to control? Is it harder to control? Do you just have to let out of the gas a little more, or is there a lot of play that comes in on the trucks as you're driving them around the track?
Well, for me, I like it when I get on the old tires. I seem to have a little bit more speed than other guys who seem to be a little shaky on those older, worn-out tires. But it's definitely letting out sooner, just being much easier, methodical about what you're doing. You just can't burn into those corners as hard as you would, or come out like you would normally.
Right, so you back the corner up, get into the brakes a little bit, let it coast all the way around that apex, and then get into the gas at the last second to make sure you get a good exit.
Yep, it's all about just keeping your truck or car, whatever you're driving, straight at that point. Because you know there's going to be other drivers who really don't like driving on a 40-lap tire. And they're going to make a mistake and bring out that yellow flag more often than not. Yeah, Clay Phillips still out there. Right around Mark Vega. Ooh, tight, 3 wide. Ooh, Chris James trying to slip between them. Clay Phillips and Mark Vega.
And he makes it happen. Clay Phillips takes the outside line. Hopefully he'll drop down here and take some
I think he's going to be going
take a pit
in
stop
now.
here at any time. You wonder how much longer he can stick out there and keep that truck moving.
That looked a little dangerous. That looked like a place where the yellow flag was going to come out. Unfortunately for Clay Phillips, he would have been involved in the wreck, and that wouldn't have helped him much.
And he does. He slows down and pulls right here into pit road. Hopefully he doesn't get a speeding penalty. Manages to get on the brakes, doesn't let the tires slide, and he finally makes his pit stop. As we go back to Robert Tyus, who's now sitting in first position. He is another truck that is still on this track on 56 laps worth of tires as he takes the outside
and
line.
he will be going in. He hit the wall there. Caught a little bit of the wall. And he'll be going into the pits this lap.
I'm not sure. I could see Robert Tyus' strategy there, trying to stick out, pray for a caution. He was backed up pretty far as standings went earlier. Clay Phillips, I do not know why he decided to stay out as long as he did, but we'll see if it pays off for him here as we get towards the end of this race. It could be pit strategy, Martin. What do you think? Say a caution comes out around lap 70, 75. Some of these guys that are up front that pit on lap 40, maybe they're going to go into the pits under the caution flag, and then you have somebody like Clay Phillips who can stay out and take first position on a few laps older tires and hang on for the win.
I'm sure that's what it is. I'm sure he was also looking for a caution. It was either caution or just trying to make his tires last longer at the end of the race, and he's looking for something like that, a late caution where he can stay out, have decent enough tires to maybe be able to hold off guys with the fresher tires.
Yeah, we'll see. That's all going to come down to who's in first, second, third, and fourth as this race rolls on, and exactly how many laps they do have on their tires and whether they stay out or not.
And Daniel Hallis in first. Eric Johnson coming up fast. He's probably going to get the pass in this next next turn. And he does. Eric Johnson back in first place.
Yeah, he makes that pass quite easy, the 33 of Eric Johnson. He's looked spectacular all night. There's nobody going to really stop him. If he has clean air in front of him, he's going to get around this track like it's nothing. Going to go back to Blake Griffith sitting in the third position. He's a good, 8.5 seconds off of Daniel Hallis and Eric Johnson. So Eric Johnson has done nothing but widen his lead as this race has gone on. He's sitting comfortably in first. And Daniel Hallis, I'm not quite sure of his position on the track. Does he have just as fresh a tires as Eric Johnson has?
I think he went in a few laps earlier.
It's
but
impressive
about
that
the
he
same
was able to
time.
stick out there. It makes you wonder if Blake Griffith and some of the guys behind him maybe had some issues on pit road, because that 8.5-second gap was not 8.5 seconds before those green flag pit stops occurred.
Yeah. Well, it's just he's just head and shoulders above everyone else as far as I rating goes. I mean, he's a 5,000. Rest of these guys are around that 2,000 mark. So it's his to lose.
It is definitely his to lose. He would have to make quite a few very, very poor mistakes or get caught up in an accident for something to go wrong for him here. So, not meaning to jinx him, but he makes the pass there easily on Tyus. And he's maintaining that first position with ease. Tyus does have much fresher tires as we see him dive to the inside here. He might actually try to make the pass here on Eric Johnson. You know, Tyus was one of the last trucks on the track, and now that he has these fresh tires, he says, guess what? I want to stay on the lead lap. You're not going to get around me, Eric.
Well, and this is where the experience of Eric Johnson is going to be key, because he's playing with this car that's going to be a lap down, and that guy doesn't want to give it up. Tyus wants to stay on the lead lap. It looks like he's going to get a little bit of a gap here.
As they run up on traffic, Eric wants to stay safe. He knows he's 8.5 seconds ahead, and he needs to stay safe up here in front of these guys. So,
yeah, he's got a nice cushion. Don't need to push it. Avoid these slower cars. Don't need to really race a guy that's on the end of the lap named Robert Tyus.
yeah, there's no reason to try to push him there. He knows he's comfortably sitting in first position. Daniel Hallis is now 2 seconds behind him. Blake Griffith 7.5 seconds behind him. Followed closely by Chris James, and then Ryan Hesgard just behind him. Ryan Hesgard's one of those drivers. I thought he would be good at this track. He comes out to these 1.5-mile ovals, and some of them he races really well. Other ones, he kind of sits in the middle of the pack. He's not one of those guys who falls to the back, but again, he seems to take things patiently. Doesn't try to push his truck too far, and he just tries to get around the track, complete all these laps, and bring home a top 5. Currently sitting in 5th.
Yeah, Hesgard's a guy that's going to be, he's going to be in the conversation, top 5, unless he gets, bad luck, which he gets a lot of. I've seen. Runs into some lapped cars or someone just taking a right turn on him in one of these turns.
Speaking of bad luck,
track
Martin, I think you might be the king of bad luck, buddy. Because you were out there running in all of these races every week, and you do very well, and then something just does not go your way, and it seems to happen more often than not.
I'd say Atlanta was my best race during the Winter Series, and during the main split, I probably could have had a top 10, and then just a poor hit strategy cost me that one. But yeah, otherwise it's like I'm getting caught up in wrecks. Just very, very, very rarely do I hit the wall or get into anything on my own, but I'm just in the middle of that pack there, and then something happens and you have trucks and cars flying over your head, and there goes your engine.
Right. And I'm going to leave you here for a second. I need to make a couple of settings changes. I'm not actually leaving you. I'm just going to be AFK for a second. I'm currently following along with Blake Griffith in the number 7. Make sure we produce good quality content for these guys. Trying to adjust a couple settings here.
Yeah, Blake is catching up to Johnson. It's down to about 7 seconds. But Johnson is pulling away from Daniel Hallis in second place.
Yes, he is. I don't know. Daniel, either he had an amazing pit stop, he only took 2 tires. Something happened with him to gain the amount of time. He was right there on top of Eric Johnson, actually ahead of him there for a few laps. Amazing to me. Maybe Johnson had some issues in the pits, but it seems to me that gap is widening pretty good now. Did Hallis come in much before Johnson, or he was one who had stuck out there and waited longer?
I think Hallis came in a lap or 2 earlier, and that's why he was up there, and then Johnson just burned right through the field and got back up and took the spot.
All right, guys, have that issue all sorted out. You guys were hearing some extra background noise there that I didn't need everybody to hear, so get notifications. Many different programs here. We run into all kinds of different issues every week that we continue to try to improve on. There's a ton of stuff going on here at once. I have to control the camera. I have to speak to you guys. I have to move things around. There is stream settings, many different volume levels. It can be very difficult to get one of these broadcasts set up, and that's why we're doing these practice races here at the Winter Series, and hoping we can get this place looking in tip-top shape before we get to going live in the 18 series.
Yeah, and you might notice some of the drivers' numbers aren't showing up on the plaques, and that's because this is a split race. Not everyone's running their regular number, and once we get to the regular season, and especially the main race, everyone should be squared away, running their appropriate number plaque and showing up. I'm
as
on
you might have noticed. As you might have noticed earlier, you weren't here yet, Martin, with me in the booth, but I had called out and talking about Daniel Hallis, who I said is normally in the number 2, which Ryan Hesgard is currently running the number 2, and he runs the 29 in the main series race. So these are hosted series races. Everybody has an assigned number in the official league series races. So some of these hosted series, if these guys don't change their numbers, their plaques are going to be messed up. Some of their paint schemes, number colors, things like that are going to be a little off. But all of that should be fixed when we go live again at 9:55 here from DRL TV.
Yeah, and the plan for the regular season is that everyone, we will know who's registered for every race, and all that stuff will be set up prior, just like in real life. I mean, it's not like they have a surprise driver show up on the track for Daytona. They sort of know who's going to be in the field. You have to register prior. So Fox usually has its graphics in order.
Oh, our graphics will definitely be in order next season.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Blake Griffith down to 6.5 seconds on that gap between him and Johnson. And Hallis has fallen back 5.5 behind the leader.
Yeah, Hallis is quickly falling back here. Not only is he falling back, but Blake Griffith is gaining on him. I know Blake stayed out quite a bit. We saw he stayed out, I think, until lap 54 before Blake took tires, and Hallis went in around 48. So,
yeah,
Blake Griffith is
stayed
going
out
to continue to gain.
Longer than Johnson, yeah?
He definitely stayed out longer than Eric Johnson. I don't know if he has much for Eric Johnson. Honestly, he seems to be on another planet right now, but that gap has slowly thinned out. Eric Johnson did have over an 8.5 second lead, and Blake now has it down to about 6.5 seconds. So I just don't know if he has the amount of time. We're on lap 77 of 84, and Eric Johnson's still running strong. He knows he has that 6.5 second lead. As I told you guys earlier, these guys can pull up graphics as they're racing. They can see how far they're behind. It allows them, it's kind of like having a spotter in real NASCAR. And some of these guys actually do have a friend come in and spot for them and tell them when other cars and trucks are, above them or below them. But it gives them just a little bit of information. You cannot see real-time tire wear. You cannot see real-time anything but where your fuel is. So it's essentially like having a spotter. And it gives these guys an opportunity to race their truck as hard as they need to get the win.
And I'm sure Johnson knows that he has a 6-second gap. He's probably preserving the tires just enough, but maintaining a decent gap.
Exactly. He wants to leave a little bit of room, probably keep 4 or 5 seconds on these guys. Make sure if he, something happens, he runs up on lap traffic, he gets into the wall, that he's going to be okay. He's 5,000 I rating. He's a very consistent driver. He started in 3rd position, quickly moved into 1st. I think about 14 laps into the race, he moved into 1st position over Clay Phillips, and he hasn't given it up since. That's a lot of what we saw out of him last week after the early pits by Eric Wolf.
He's working his way past the 28 of Spencer Tarts in that Pop-Tarts truck.
Awesome new scheme there by the 28. That looks pretty good.
I believe Chris James painted that one, the 15 car, or
Actually, I
truck
don't have
rather.
that on stream. I need to update my paints right now. I still have them in a Wrangler scheme.
Yeah, my schemes haven't all updated yet. I don't know why, but hopefully they'll be updated for the main race because
Exciting to see
that's
that.
half the
And
fun.
yeah, I mean, somebody can
Seeing
come
all
up with
those
a
cool schemes.
sponsor that matches their name. It's not every day you see something like that.
Yeah, it's a clever little truck there. I like that.
4 laps to go here at Texas in the A split in the DRL Winter Series. Not been a very eventful race. A lot of single file driving. Huge spread out field. The green flag pit stops went completely unhindered. Absolutely zero cautions here tonight, and this race is. I mean, it's been fun to watch, Martin, but at the same time, kind of makes you wish there was a few accidents, a little bit more excitement, huh?
Well, yeah, I just think back to our regular season Cup Series, our Texas playoff race, and I believe we had quite a few yellows in that one. And that was just the Cup car coming off of, I believe, turn 2 was a little bit of a struggle coming out of that. People would be getting into each other, and that brought out quite a few yellow flags. But here, field spread out, not a lot of issues. There was one close one there between Vega, Phillips, and James, but Chris James was very smart, let off the gas, didn't make it 3 wide, and then passed on the straightaway.
Yeah, I'm currently watching Chris James just behind Ryan Hesgaard. 1 lap to go here. I don't know if he's going to be able to make the pass. We're going to go back up and look at Eric Johnson as he takes the white flag coming around on the last lap here at Texas. We're going to go into Eric's truck and see exactly what he sees as he takes the checkered flag here at Texas Motor Speedway. Congratulations to the 33 of Eric Johnson. Awesome finish for him. Give the 7 of Blake Griffith makes his way around. Daniel Hallis, the number 8. Followed by Ryan Hesgaard, Chris James, Mike Lemon, Brandon Dalton. Unofficial results here. We have Eric Johnson in the 33 taking first position. Blake Griffith in the 7 in second position. Daniel Hallis takes third. Ryan Hesgaard in the 2 car takes 4th place. Chris James in 5th. Mike Lemon in 6th. Brandon Dalton, one of our top racers in the main race last week, finishes in 7th position. Robert Tyus in the 57 in 8th. Bruce Pearson in the number 3 in 9th position. Spencer Tarts in that awesome Pop-Tarts truck that I can't wait to see in the main race, are currently sitting in 10th. James Pandoff finishes at 11th in the number 74. Clay Phillips dropped all the way back to 12th position after the late pit strategy that he had and did not get that caution to pay off for him towards the end of the race. He led 33 laps. He finishes in 12th position. Mark Vega finishes 15 laps down in 13th. James Lorello 22 laps down in 14th. And Justin Rodden, who must not have started this race, he only got 5 laps in, or 9 laps in. Something must have happened to him there, maybe disconnected or whatever. He finishes in 15th position. Hopefully we'll see all these guys in the main race coming up at 9:55 p.m. Eastern. But we're going to pull a couple people in and try to interview them. Martin, if you want to try to pull Daniel Hallis in here and get an interview with the 3rd place finisher, that would be awesome, man.
All right, we have the 3rd place position, Daniel Hallis, in with us.
Daniel, you got a copy?
Yeah, 10-4. How's it going, guys?
Fantastic, man. That was a great race there by you. What what happened there when you guys went into the pits? We saw a few things happen. Eric Johnson was kind of running off with first position. He was unstoppable this evening. I kind of want to know how you got out of the pits in front of him and how he took it back so quick. Did you make a later pit stop than him or an earlier one or?
I went down pit road at like lap 40, 40 something, and then the rest of them stayed out like 8 laps. So when I went down pit road, I didn't have any issues. I'm amazed I didn't get a speeding penalty actually entering pit road as hot as I did, but didn't slide through the box, got out, got on track, and then I caught them and passed them. And then they all went down pit road. And when I was out there, I was trying to save tire, but I didn't save enough. So that's why the two passed me the way they did.
I got you. Yeah, Blake Griffith got around you there late in the race. Eric Johnson passed you pretty handily. That was yeah. The tires can be tough here, man. What is it like? I mean, when would the tire fall off really take an effect? I saw you guys were about 2 seconds off the pace there after about 20 laps. But is that when stuff started to hurt? Was 20 laps in? Because you made it till 48 before you pit.
It's more like 10, 15 laps, and then you start pushing, and then after that you start getting really loose coming out of the corner. I don't know about Blake and Eric, but coming out of 4, like I was super loose. So when Blake caught me, I just let him go.
Yeah, so they go quick. I was telling the viewers earlier, this race is a lot like a Charlotte or an Atlanta. It's tough. The race here, the tires go fast, and it doesn't matter what line you run. It's not easy to control the truck coming out of those corners. So congratulations on the third place finish, man. You're up there solid every single week. It looks like likely this week with Jordan and Brady Briggs not in this week's A split race, you're going to move up into second position just behind Blake Griffith, who finished just ahead of you in tonight's race. You have any shout outs or anything you want to give?
Hey, I give a shout out to Brady. Hopefully he's doing better. Hopefully he gets back out there for next season. But I got him on the hood. Hopefully he gets better.
Awesome, man. I know he appreciates that. It's tough to see him go out like he did. He was top driver in this A split, top driver in the main, and that's sad. But thanks for coming out, man. We hope to see you again. I hope to interview you, top 3 again after the main race, and we'll see you in a couple hours.
All right, 10-4. Take it easy.
All right, guys, and now we're going to bring in second position, Blake Griffith, and see how he feels after that race. Blake, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Good, and yourself, man? You got a second out of that.
Yeah, that'll do. I don't think there's many of us that are going to touch Eric. He dominated last week in that A split and this week, so he's pretty fast.
He was very impressive. We talked about it a couple times, sitting at 5,000 I rating. I know you're one of the higher guys in the league, sitting at about 2,800 right now. What's it like racing behind that guy? I mean, do you even try to catch him? Do you worry more about your tires or what?
Man, with a 5,000 I rating, it's no competition. So I'm pretty much just battling for second. I mean, the highest mine's been 3,300, and it dropped recently to about 2,800. But with somebody that high of I rating, it's just pretty much just battle for second.
Yeah, it can make it tough. I mean, Daniel Hallis there after the green flag pit stops, he got out there in front of Eric. Eric passed him with swiftness, and then you slowly reeled Daniel in. I think it's because he pitted a little earlier than you guys, and his tires wore off as the race went on. You started out strong. You look like you were catching up there for probably 15 to 20 laps, and then you started to drop back a little bit for 15 to 20 laps before those green flag pit stops. Do you think you wore your tires down a little too much too early, or?
Well, no, I was trying to save a little bit because there for a little while I was trying to keep up with those front guys, and I realized I was burning my tires up. So I decided to slow it down a little bit and try to save just in case it kept going green. And fortunately, it worked. So I started catching them toward the very end of that run. I caught Clay and caught Chris James again by saving there for the last few laps. But man, they haven't updated this to the new Texas, so it's still the old surface. So man, it eats tires up. You've got to save.
Yeah, it's very rough. We were talking to third place Daniel Hallis about that, and he said the tires were gone in 10 to 15. I asked him, were they gone in 20 to 30, and he said 10 or 15. So I know that the truck can get real tough to control after 10 or 15 laps, and There's no way it's easy running 48, 50, 54 laps. I think you were one of the trucks that was out there the longest. So congratulations on the second place finish, man. Hopefully in the main race you can maybe look towards racing for second and hope something happens with Eric up there and save tires a little bit more. Not over push the truck to try to preserve position, huh?
Yeah, he's going to be tough to beat. I hate to say it, but it's going to be tough to beat him unless something happens to him. But I'll give him my best. If nothing else, the second place will do.
All right, man. Thanks for showing up. Congratulations. You want to give a shout out to anyone?
Yeah, thanks to you guys for the broadcast. Appreciate James and Martin and Tater, you Ryan, all you guys that put the league on, and appreciate my team CCR and all these guys that ran around tonight. Everybody raced really clean. It was a fun race.
Thanks, Blake. Hope to see you again in the main race, man. Have a good night.
Yes, sir. You too.
We're gonna see if we can get an interview with first position Eric Johnson. Let's pull him in and see what he has to say.
Eric, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Congratulations on that win. Really pulled away from the field.
Yeah, it was a fun race. Really loose halfway through the stints.
Yeah, long green flag runs, no yellow flags today. Really had to actually do the green flag stops. That's something we don't get a ton of, haven't had a ton of so far, but it's really fun to see. How are you were saying you were getting loose, the tires are falling off there. So what was your strategy? I mean, you had a good cushion most of the race. So what was your strategy for saving your tires and just staying off the wall?
Yeah, I didn't want to overdrive it the first 10 laps, but I didn't want to lose the leader. And I was just trying to match him and just save my stuff. But halfway through, man, I was getting kind of hairy. And I just didn't want to make a mistake on pit road, and luckily I didn't.
Yeah, we were talking about how, especially since you were obviously the fastest truck on the racing surface, that you're coming up on those lapped cars, and that's where you have to be careful and make sure you get by them without them causing a mistake, or you cause a mistake by getting a little too greedy in a turn. What's that like? Watching your mirror, making sure you leave enough of a gap, and then also continuing around those slower cars, slower trucks.
Yeah, the heart rate gets a little more elevated, and but the guys got out of the way. They gave me a lot of room, and sometimes they like to hit the wall and then it messes you up because they're worried about being in your way. But it was good today.
Got anything, Ryan?
Yeah, no, you pretty much covered it, man. That was an awesome race from you, Eric. We loved watching it. Looked like, Daniel Hallis pulled out in front of you there after those green flag pit stops, and I wondered what happened. Maybe if you stuck around on the track a little too long, if he got in just early enough to maintain that position, but you reeled him right back in. Gave yourself a good enough gap and got out there to a good, 8-second lead. I think it dwindled to about a 6-second lead before the end of the race there, but 6 seconds is more than good enough to win at Texas. Congrats on the first place finish. Just like last week, man, you midway through the race, you were patient. This week you passed Clay Phillips. Last week you got around Eric Wolf in those green flag pit stops, and you just you made it happen, man. You got a shout out to give anybody?
Just DRL, you guys for broadcasting, and it's a great league.
Awesome, Eric. Hopefully we'll see you again in the main race, and you have a good night, man.
All right, thanks. You too.
And that's going to wrap it up for us this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Go again to the unofficial results here. Eric Johnson taking first, Blake Griffith in second, and Daniel Hallis in third place. All closely by Hesgard and Chris James in fourth and fifth position. We're going to go live here again at 9:55 p.m. Eastern Time for the main race in this series. We're going to see all the drivers from this A split. And we're also going to see another 15 to 20 drivers from the B split make it over here. Martin, you ready for the action?
Oh yeah, it'll be fun. 30 drivers, hopefully.
Oh, it's going to be
Keep it a
awesome,
little
man.
bit more competitive.
We're also doing some more laps. We're going to have 100 laps here during the main race. We shortened this race up a little bit just so these guys aren't putting in the entire night worth of commitment, get everybody a chance to take a break, rest their legs, etc. Not that the real NASCAR drivers get that time, but we all know people have obligations to make it to and things like that. And I'm gonna throw up the next week's race flyer as well. Let you guys see that. Next week we're coming to you from Chicagoland, the Chicagoland 120 from Illinois. That's going to be again next Tuesday. I know you guys see here it says Wallbound Online Racing Network. That is Daniel Wellborn. He is over on Wallbound YouTube channel right now. He broadcast a B-split race to this series, and he will simulcast the main series event coming up at 10 o'clock with me. We're just getting practice in. Again, he is going to be hosting. What is he hosting next season, Martin? Is he hosting the Xfinity cars, the B cars?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which ones he's broadcasting. If he's doing the trucks or the
I'm pretty sure he's
the
hosting
Xfinity ones.
Xfinity series, and then we'll actually have Daniel Hallis, who you guys saw here tonight. I think he's going to be the host of the truck series.
Yeah, that makes sense because Daniel is adminning the Xfinity, the Northeast Ohio Grand National Series, as we call it.
Yes, and you guys will see Daniel Hallis actually racing in the Fastlane Cup Series next year. So we'll be broadcasting him for 36 weeks here at Dynasty Racing League TV. Thank you guys again for coming out, and we'll see you in about an hour when we go live for the main event at 9:55 Eastern. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me in the booth, Martin. Everybody have a good night.
Yep. Take care.